um, Hazrat Abu Bakr died due to a natural death, and eventually he nominated Hazrat Umar to become the second Khalifa or the second Caliph. So, a bit background of Hazrat Umar was that he was born to Khattab in Makkah, and Omar was learned, intelligent, studious, good orator. Orator mean he was well spoken, he was verbose, and he was a poet. He is known to be good at wrestling, horse riding, and archery. However, he was an idol worshipper. Before becoming a Muslim, he was an idol worshipper and was a very big enemy of Nabi Kareem. He was an influential and powerful person of Quraysh. It was Prophet who prayed to Allah to make Islam powerful by giving Umar. So Nabi Kareem himself prayed, "Oh Allah Ta'ala, please make Hazrat Umar a Muslim because he was very powerful, he was influential, and Islam needed influential and powerful people so that more people could accept Islam." It was Prophet who prayed to Allah to make Islam powerful by giving Umar. Umar had an intention to kill Prophet when he was on his way. Someone told him that his sister and her husband had accepted Islam. So this brought him into anger, and he went straight away to his sister's home, who was reciting Quran, which made Umar to attack his sister and her husband. Then he asked his sister to recite few verses of Quran, who read verses from Surah Taha, which softened the heart of Umar, and he began to cry. He then went to Prophet's house and accepted Islam by reading Kalma. His conversion earned him the title of Farooq by Holy Prophet. So Hazrat Umar was known as Umar Farooq by Nabi Kareem. His conversion gave strength to Islam as Muslims became confident enough to pray openly. He migrated to Medina before Prophet, participated in Battle of Badr, Uhud, Ditch, Khaybar, Hunain, and Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which he didn't want to accept as he considered it as a humiliation towards Muslim, and was present at conquest of Makkah. So once Hazrat Umar accepted Islam, he was present in all the major battles that took place: Badr, Uhud, Ditch, Khaybar, Hunain, and since he was good at writing, he was good at speaking. So he was present at Treaty of Hudaybiyah, but he didn't want Nabi Karim to accept Treaty of Hudaybiyah. But eventually we know how Treaty of Hudaybiyah became a source of victory for Muslims, right? Then also plays his wealth for Tabuk expedition. He is one of the 10 best companions. We studied about him. After Prophet's demise, he swore allegiance to Hazrat Abu Bakr. He became the second Caliph of Islam after Hazrat Abu Bakr's death as per his will. So Hazrat Abu Bakr nominated Hazrat Umar to become the second Caliph. All the companions swore allegiance to him. He came to be known as Amirul Mu'mineen. So this is how he was elected. Then, before studying more about the battles that he fought and the areas that he conquered, I want to show you something which will help you to understand, okay, what exactly are we going to deal with. Hazrat Umar dealt with Persians and he dealt with Romans. Okay? There were two major powers, Persians and Romans. So for, against Persians, he fought 6 battles: Namarak, Jasar, Bover, Qadisiyyah, Jalula, and Nahawan. These are the 6 battles that we need to study for Persians. And then there were 3 battles he fought for. He fought against Romans, which were Battle of Yarmouk, fall of Jerusalem, and conquest of Egypt. So in total, we need to study 9 battles or 9 events which Hazrat Umar dealt with. Okay? So now we are going to study Persians first, because Khusro Parvez, we already know about him that a letter was sent to him by Nabi Kareem, and he tore the letter of Nabi Kareem, he insulted the letter of Nabi Kareem, and then Nabi Kareem predicted that his empire will be ruined. So Khusro Parvez was a leader who was killed by his own son. Then Khusro Parvez was the king of Persia. He insulted the letter of Prophet. Then Persians were involved in a rebellion of Bahrain by helping enemies of Muslims. So Muslims had to remain cautious by them. Iraq was a province of Persian Empire and was a natural part of Arabia and was important to Arabs because Iraq had a natural flow of Euphrates and Tigris, while Arabia was barren and dependent on Iraq for trade, but Persians did not allow them to trade. Moreover, people who lived on border of Iraq had their relatives in Arabia to rise against Islam. This is why Muslims were forced to fight against them. So initially, these people who were living in Iraq, they were against Muslims. And if their relatives were living in Arabia, then they provoked people of Arabia against Muslims. But there was also one another challenge that Saudi Arabia, the Arab land, it's barren. So they do not have access to rivers. So this is exactly why Iraq is so much important even now as well, because it has natural flow of Euphrates and Tigris. So Arabia was dependent upon them for trade, and then Muslims were cautious because they were against Muslims. Then the first battle, which was fought against Persians, was Battle of Namarak. Hira is a place which was conquered under the Khilafat of Hazrat Abu Bakr and under the leadership of Khalid bin Walid. So you'll learn about this name very much in the upcoming chapters, because Khalid bin Walid was someone who fought many battles for Islam. So under the leadership of Khalid bin Walid and Musanna, Persians were annoyed with the loss of Hira. Hira is a place. Okay? So Persians were annoyed at the loss of Hira and tried to regain it. So Persian king Rustam, so now you need to remember, the new king of Persia is Rustam. He sent a large army against Muslims, and Musanna was from Muslim side. He was alone on Persia front, as Khalid bin Walid had left for Syria, because we studied about Syria and the expedition of Syria, right? So Musanna was left alone, and he was without Khalid bin Walid because Khalid bin Walid was in Syria, while Musanna was there on the front end against Rustam. So Hazrat Umar sent Abu Ubaid with army to reinforce the army of Musanna. A battle was fought at Namarak in which Persians were defeated. So this battle, Battle of Namarak, was a result of Hira being lost, which was lost under the leadership of Hazrat Abu Bakr and under the leadership of Khalid bin Walid in particular. Then Persians were annoyed at the loss of Hira. They wanted to regain Hira. So the Persian king Rustam, he sent a large army against Muslims, and Musanna was the Muslim leader. So Hazrat Umar sent more army to reinforce the army of Muslims and to reinforce the army of Musanna. A battle was fought, and then Persians were defeated. So this battle was fought against Persians. This was the first battle under the leadership of Hazrat Umar. Then the second battle, Battle of Jasar, or it's also known as Battle of Bridge. After Namarak, they again met Muslims who were under the command of Bahman. So the first commander was Musanna. Now the second commander is Bahman. River Euphrates was between both armies. Muslim wanted to stay back on river bank, but Abu Baid, their commander, decided to fight across the river. Muslims made a bridge of boats and crossed the river, but then were encountered by uneven land, while Persians were on elephants with bows and arrows. Arab horses got out of control as they saw elephants, which created confusion amongst Muslims and they got disorganized. Then Abu Bakr himself led the attack and instructed to attack on foot. So Muslim soldiers cut the ropes of howdahs and brought down the rider and killed them. So elephants started to trample soldiers. One of the elephants, which was the leader of herd, knocked Abu Bakr down and trampled him. So his brother picked up the strand and led the fight, but he also fell. Then Abu Bakr took the command. The battle went on, but Muslim commanders, one after another, were martyred. Muslims then rushed for a bridge, but a man of Banu Saqif broke the bridge so Muslims could not run away. Musanna became the commander of Muslim army and ordered to rebuild the bridge. He held back the enemy and asked small forces to cross river. He crossed the bridge at last. The Muslims were defeated, and out of 9,000, only 3,000 got saved. Okay, so this was the only Battle of Jasar or Battle of Bridge is the only battle where, under the leadership of Hazrat Umar, Muslims were unable to win. Muslims just lost one battle under the leadership of Hazrat Umar, and that because initially Muslims did not want to cross the bridge of river, and when they crossed, Persians they were clever enough to bring elephants, and those elephants, people of Arabia had never seen elephants. This is exactly why they got confused after seeing huge elephants, and those elephants eventually they trampled on the soldiers. So this is why Muslim commanders, one after another, they got martyred, and then eventually, when they were trying to rush back towards the other side of the bridge, a man from Banu Saqif, he broke the bridge, and Muslims were unable to run away because they built a bridge to cross the river. Then this man broke the bridge, and then Musanna, who became the commander of Muslim army, he ordered to rebuild the bridge. So this is exactly why we call it Battle of Bridge, where again this bridge was built because Musanna commanded Muslim army to rebuild the bridge, and when the bridge was built again, they crossed the bridge, and then this is how Muslims were defeated in this battle. Okay. Then we have Battle of Buwaib. After Jasser, Hazrat Umar sent messengers all across the Arabia to invite Arabs to fight against Persians. So after like this, the only battle they lost, Hazrat Umar sent messengers all across the Arabia, and they invited all the Arabs to fight against Persians. So many Muslims and Christians gathered to this. Persians also sent a strong force against Muslims under the command of Mehran. So previously we studied about Musanna. Now we are going to study about the other commander Mehran. Mehran sent a messenger to Musanna to ask whether Muslims would like the Persians to cross over to their side. Muslims asked Persians to cross over this time because in the previous battle, Muslims were the ones who crossed, right? But this time they asked Persians to cross over. Persians crossed over and the armies met at Bobaib. Persians were several times more, but Muslims fought fearlessly. A young warrior killed Mehran, after which Persians started to flee, but Musanna captured the bridge this time. Musanna is the Muslim leader. Mehran at that time was a leader of Persians. He was killed, and Persians wanted to flee, but Musanna captured the bridge and prevented Persians from crossing, so thousands of them drowned while others died at battlefield. And this battle destroyed Persian army. So Battle of Buwaib, they Muslims won this one. Muslims won Namarak, but they just lost Jasser, or the bridge one, where they made this decision to cross the river by building bridge. But in the other battle, right after Jasser in Kuwait, they did not cross the river, and they asked Persians to cross it. Then in Battle of Qadisiyyah, Persians again began to prepare themselves to fight against Muslim. Hazrat Umar declared jihad all over the land. Saad bin Abi Waqas led Muslim army this time. He was sent with instructions to camp at Qadisiyyah and invade to Persia with message of Islam. Persian King Yazgard insulted envoys which called out a war. Persians were sent against Muslim under the command of Rustam. Hazrat Saad was unwell, so he gave commands from sickbed. The battle lasted for 3 days. Rustam was killed and Persians were defeated. So once the leader is killed, then the army is considered to be defeated eventually, and then it creates lots of confusion because they are unsure of what to do when once their leader is killed. So in the previous battle as well, they killed Mehran. Muslims killed Mehran, and eventually Muslims won. Here Rustam was killed and Persians were defeated. This battle completely broke the strength of Persians again. Then capture of Madain and Battle of Jalula. Hazrat Saad marched at Madain and occupied it with the permission of Khalifa. The Persian king ordered Persian forces to advance, so they occupied Jalula and made great preparations for battle against Muslims. Persians dug deep ditch around the city, and provisions were stored in large quantities. Saad sent a strong army under Kaka to meet Persians. They laid siege to Jalula, which dragged to 7 months. Persians decided to launch an offensive and drive away Muslims. Muslims commander pulled back his army so the entire Persian army might be brought into field. This fight was fierce, followed by storm which blew in the face of Persians and helped Muslims to rush forward. Muslims pursued and killed them. Jalula fell into the hands of Muslims and residents surrendered on jizya. We'll talk about jizya. Jizya is a sort of paying system by non-Muslims. So non-Muslims are supposed to pay to Muslim government. Like we pay zakat. They're supposed to pay jizya. So if they're non-Muslims and if the land has fallen in the hands of Muslims, they were supposed to pay jizya. Then Battle of Nahawan, Persians broke treaty again and Muslims were compelled to fight again. The armies met at Nahawan with Persians being 60,000 and Muslim army 30,000 in number. For 2 days, they fought with no gain. On third day, Persians took refuge in their forts. Muslims made a smart strategy to get them out. Then a hand-to-hand fighting took place, and Persians were defeated. This was the last battle between Persians and Muslims. So we have covered all 6 battles which were fought against Persians, and eventually the land of Persia fell under the hands of Muslims. Now we are moving towards the other half, which was battles against Roman Empire or wars with Byzantinians. So Roman Empire of Syria, Jerusalem, and Egypt was Byzantine Empire. Okay, so turn by turn they'll occupy, Muslims will occupy all 3 of them. At the beginning of Islam, relations between Romans and Muslims were smooth because envoy of Holy Prophet was well received by Heraclius, Roman emperor. Then relations between both began to deteriorate. Envoy of Prophet was murdered at Muta by Prince of Syria. So the first battle against Roman Emperor was Battle of Yarmouk. Khalid bin Walid during the Khilafat of Hazrat Umar added Damascus, Jordan and Amicia to Muslim Empire. After this, Roman Emperor sent a vast army of 260,000 against Muslims. They reached at Valley of Yarmouk. The Muslim army was under the leadership of Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, consisting of 40,000 men. So look at the army of non-Muslims against Muslim. We were just 40,000. They were 260,000. Initially, Byzantines offered Muslim large sum of money and leave Syria. This was turned down by Muslims. Then Muslims proposed 3 options to them: Islam, jizya, or fight. They opted for fight, which lasted for 6 days. By 6th day, half of Byzantine army was killed or had fled away. A storm also broke out, which made Byzantinians to flew away, and this was a great victory for Muslims. Then fall of Jerusalem after Yarmouk, yani after Syria, Muslims spread in all directions in Jordan and Palestine. They captured many towns which cleared the way for Jerusalem. Jerusalem was fortified and protected on every side by deep valleys, as this city was sacred to Jews and Christians. The Muslim army laid siege to Jerusalem. The Muslim besieging force was hit by severe winters. So Amr bin As, Muslim commander, wrote to Abu Ubaidah for reinforcement. When citizens of Jerusalem came to know about reinforcement, they surrendered on one condition, that Khalifa should come to sign the treaty. Hazrat Umar, after consulting with companions, left for Jerusalem, leaving Hazrat Ali as his deputy. He was accompanied by 1 slave and 1 camel, which they rode by turn. A treaty was drawn for security of life, property, churches, and other religious buildings. They were asked to pay jizya, and those who refused were asked to leave the city. The Patriarch of Jerusalem saw the simplicity of Hazrat Umar and stated, "Verily, Islam has excelled all other religions." The key of Jerusalem were handed over to Hazrat Umar. He offered prayers and stayed at Jerusalem for a few days, where he reorganized administration and founded a mosque, Umar's Mosque. Then conquest of Egypt. Amr bin As, with the permission of Caliph, set out for Egypt and took an army of 4,000 men. Attacks were carried out on small towns and siege was laid to Fustat, which lasted for 7 months, and then the fort was conquered. After the fall of Fustat, the king of Egypt became furious and sent large army to the capital of Egypt. Muslims were 12,000 and Byzantinians were again 50,000. The city had access to sea, and Byzantinians would hit Muslims with boulders whenever they came near the city. When Byzantines came out of fort, they were defeated by Muslims, and during the fight, Heraclius died, so Muslims fiercely fought the battle, and Alexandria was conquered by Muslims. So then eventually, after Battle of Nahawan, many Persian men and women were taken as captives who were then sold as slaves. One of them was Abu Lulu / Firoz was his name. He was purchased by governor of Basra. During Zilhaj, Hazrat Umar was leading prayer. Firoz attacked him with dagger. The Khalifa fell on prayer mat and survived for a few days. He nominated Hazrat Ali, Usman, Zubair, Abdurrahman, Talha, and Saad bin Abi Waqas to hold mutual consultations and select his successor. Hazrat Umar's son Abdullah asked for Hazrat Aisha's permission to be buried by side of Prophet. Permission was granted and he was buried by the side of Prophet. Then we need to look at administration and character of Hazrat Umar. This can be a question for 10 marks. Again, there's lots of details that's written in administration and character because he ruled for a major time and he conquered so much of the areas under 10 years. So we need to look at the administration and character of Hazrat Umar. Hazrat Umar framed out the constitution of the state of democracy, number one. Then he established Majlis-e-Shura, which had companions from Ansars and Muhajireens. Hazrat Umar consulted from this body for all the matters. He also established Majlis-e-Am, which had people from Ansar and Muhajireen of various tribes. He made new laws and regulation in accordance with Holy Quran and Sunnah. He took steps to give Islamic State a clean and efficient administration. The state was divided into provinces under the leadership of governor or Wali/Amir. Wali is also the head of military and religious affairs. The provinces were further divided into districts and were placed under amils. Any person who was appointed on higher posts was required to write undertaking to lead a simple Islamic life. He was also supposed to submit particulars of his properties, so on retirement it could be seen whether he had amassed wealth by illegal means. And Hazrat Umar kept a strict eye on the activities of his officers. He used to get secret reports from officers about all those who were appointed on good positions. Then Hazrat Umar entrusted qazis with judicial functions who ensured that judiciary was just. Qazi were independent of provincial governors. Hazrat Umar established the Department of Finance, Diwan, which was in charge of revenue of centers and provinces. He also established military departments, jails, police, and education. Their sources of revenue were zakat, jizya, kharaj, spoils of war, and fay. Fay was the income of crown lands. The surplus money was distributed among Muslims on three principles: relation with Prophet, priority of conversion to Islam, and military services to Islam. Hazrat Umar was concerned about the welfare of soldiers but would punish them in case of neglect. He also devoted his attention in building cities like Kufa and Basra. He used to patrol the streets at night and introduce a system of old age pensions and census of Muslim state. He selflessly devoted his time and effort to the interest of Islam. His character was an excellent example, led a simple life, and his clothes used to have patches and was often seen laying on bare ground with a brick. He was kind and sympathetic to poor and needy and helped them with food and money. He would also run errands for widows and poor women. He was a man of great knowledge, learning, and was a good judge. When he died and his property sold, the entire amount went to public treasury. He had an extraordinary personality who made history. His brilliant conquest and the integrity of his character marked him as the greatest man of all times. So all these systems which we are now seeing around us, they were already established by our second caliph, Hazrat Umar, like police system, finance system, pension system, education, military departments. So these are the things that we see now. And we think that this is how states are run. But these were already the ideas conceived by Hazrat Umar and they were practiced during his time. And this is exactly how Islam became so strong during his time of rule. And it is also said that if Hazrat Umar lived for 10 more years, then he would have conquered the entire world because he added major areas, he added vast areas to the land of Islam, to the land of Arabia, and he had a strict administrative rule, and he would keep a check on all the governors and all those who were in charge of people around him and people of cities. So okay, so this is a summary of what we did. We did 6 battles of Hazrat Umar against Persians, and we covered 3 battles against Romans. So in total, we have 9 battles, and we need to remember the details of all of them. Among them, only Battle of Jasr was the one where Muslims lost. Other than that, all the battles were won by Muslims. Okay? And this is the summary. If you want to see from this is basically the summary. Okay, in Battle of Namarak, Muslim leader was Musanna Abu Ubaid. and Muslim army was led by army of Musanna and Abu Ubaid. Then Persian leader was Rustam, and Persian army was a large army, and in this Muslims won. Then in Battle of Jasser, because like we said, in Battle of Jasser, Muslims got confused after seeing huge elephants, and they built that bridge again because a man from Banu Saqif he destroyed the bridge which Muslims used to cross. So turn by turn, they were killing the Muslim leaders. Initially Bahman, then Abu Baid, then Abu Baid's brother, then Abu Baid's son, and lastly Musanna became the Muslim leader. Against and Muslim army was 9,000 in number, and we're not sure about the Persian leader, and we're also not sure about the number of Persian army. But in this, Muslims lost. Then at Battle of Bubay, Musanna was the leader, and Muslim army comprised of Muslims and Christians. Mehran was a Persian leader, and they also had this strong force, but Mehran was killed and Muslims won. Then in Battle of Qadisiyyah, Saad bin Abi Waqas was the Muslim leader. Rustam was a leader for Persians, and then Rustam was killed and Muslims won in this one as well. For Battle of Jalula as well, Saad bin Abi Waqas was the Muslim leader. Muslim army was strong, it was large in number, and it was fought against Persian king. In this as well, Muslims won. And Battle of Nahawand, Muslim army was only of 30,000, while Persian army was of 60,000. In this as well, Muslims won. And again, then Roman Empire. For Roman Empire, fall of Jerusalem and conquest of Egypt was done by Amr bin As, and Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah was a Muslim leader in Battle of Yarmouk. So this is quite a summary of what you did. And if you want to recall, if you, like once you are done with remembering and with memorizing the details of the battle, then you can go through this summary chart, and this will be a sort of mind map for you. And just do not rely on this. Obviously, this is not what your paper is going to ask you. We need to write lots of detail. And this is it from my side. Do you have any questions?